So today I'm going to be giving you a quick guide on how to get a new character right up and geared really quickly because, well, everyone loves gear and the quicker the better. Now, this is the fastest way, right? So there might be one or two little things that I don't cover, but essentially this is what I do in all of my alts, and I have 7 level 100s, and I can tell you for a fact, it's worked every time. So initially when you're gearing up, the major concern is getting to item level 615, because once you get to 615, you get access to High Mall Lfr, and the game carries you from there. So, stage 1, getting into the Lfr, that's the most important bit. Now, if you've got even a little bit of gold, Warlords of Draenor gearing is absolutely trivial. Head over to the auction house and take a look at the price for the initial crafted gear. You'll likely find that the 640 bits of gear are super cheap, often under 3,000 gold. So just purchase 3 bits of gear, ideally in high item budget slots like the head, chest, and legs. Though your goal here is only to increase your character's item level, so if you, say, have a really low item level bit of questing gear, then you can always replace that with crafted gear. Now, one little tricky thing you could do, I suppose, is purchase more than 3 bits of crafted gear to pad out your item level, but maybe that's a bit of a scummy thing, I don't know, I'm just going to leave it here that it's a thing you can do. Now, if you for a moment think that the gold is too much, then remember that soloing Cataclysm 25 Heroics and vendoring the epics on your main character will net you enough gold to purchase a full 3-piece set, or at least most of the gold, so gold should not be an issue. You can also, of course, craft it yourself, and at 6.1, profession vendors can now appear in your garrison that sell recipes which allow you to create the rare crafting resources without a cooldown, which makes getting that crafted gear easier than ever. Another great option, of course, for those with the cash is BOE raid epics. While this stuff was super expensive near the start of the expansion or, tier launches, it's actually really cheap now. I just purchased BRF heroic bracers for a mere 14k, so this is definitely a very powerful option. There are also miscellaneous bits of BOE gear floating around the place, but I'd only recommend spending a lot of money on good quality BRF gear. Maybe something like a high mall normal bit, not really worth it. The crafted stuff that I recommend is completely replaceable, but I only recommend it because it's so darn cheap, and getting access to the Lfr is just so important for gearing, so you want to do that as quickly as possible. Finally, the Black Market Auction House sells mythic gear from time to time. The prices can be massive though, so I'd only recommend this for those who have got a lot of in-game gold. Now, in addition to this, you also want to work on your legendary ring as soon as possible. So, you'll want to have the quest done until the High Mall stone collecting stage before you actually hop into the Lfr, because obviously collecting those stones from High Mall is something that you want to be doing on your first possible, Lfr week. So for this, you'll need to do 1 normal dungeon, 3 heroic dungeons, and collect somewhere in the region of 4,000, I think 900 Apexis crystals. Getting those crystals is the main roadblock here, so I recommend getting the missives from the garrison resource vendor. While grinding out those Apexis missions may not be a lot of fun, it's, well, the only way to get those crystals on demand. So all of that stuff there that I said, essentially just getting the legendary ring quest stuff up to 680, and then getting 3 bits of crafted gear should get you up to an item level of 615, and that is essentially all that you need, because the game plays itself from there. If you are falling short, then perhaps you should grab some 620 Honor PvP gear, that's one option. Another is, if you really want, you could spam level 100 normal dungeons, but it shouldn't really be needed, though if you do want to do them without LFD, just grab a friendly, well-geared tank or maybe hunter, and get them to solo the instance while you tag along, and you'll get loads of loot and, well, you'll avoid queue issues. Now, another way of patching up your early gear is to rush towards a level 3 salvage yard in your garrison. The initial blueprints for that building are from the quests in Pinch Whistle Gearworks in the Spires of Iraq. Now, once you get that to level 3, the large salvage crates that drop give you a chance of getting 610 gear. It's mostly intended for transmog, but it can help you replace some crappy bits of questing gear. And speaking of questing, you can continue to do quests in the ground, especially if you've got a bunker in your garrison, because then you'll proc a higher eye level for those questing items. Again though, most of that shouldn't be needed. I usually find the crafted gear and the legendary ring is enough to get me into LFR, and that's across 7 different characters that I've currently got at level 100. Now also, if you have a tank or healer, then the satchels that come from doing the random heroics drop BOA 630 gear tokens, which could really help out your ults, so that's also a plus. The next step of this guide is LFR and beyond. It's really simple, do LFR. Highmaul drops 640 gear, and even with half decent luck, you should make the eye level requirement soon enough for Blackrock Foundry LFR, hopefully within the same week. Now the great thing about BRF LFR gear is that it was actually buffed by 5 item levels recently, meaning that it's now 655 for the offset pieces and 660 for the set pieces. It's very good, very good. Now, there are also the Warlords of Draenor world bosses. Just look them up on the in-game pre-made group finder. Rukmar drops 665 legs and rings, while the others drop 650 waists, hands, necks, and chests. If you have any, if you have Ask Mr. Robot Premium, then use their bonus roll feature to work out where to spend your bonus rolls. Otherwise, just roll in Rukmar if you do him that week, and then any of the BRF LFR bosses that drop set pieces, or perhaps a weapon if you're in need of one of those. Now, while you're doing all of this stuff, you need to be going fully into the garrison because it drops really good gear. So prioritize missions that drop follower armor or weapons, because you really need to get your followers' item levels increased. Also have a level 3 salvage yard, because the crates that you get from that can drop follower upgrades. Install Master Plan, which is an add-on, and then look at the Interesting Missions tab. It basically shows you what all of the, interesting missions are, and it scans your followers and sees which ones are really good for those missions. And those missions, of course, include the Blackrock and Highmaul missions, which drop raid gear. So you want to have a look there, see what followers have got traits and abilities that match those missions, and then increase the item level of those followers. Basically, you just want to access those raid missions as soon as possible, because they do drop 655 and 670 gear by default. But of course, if you raid, then those, that will increase. So between these missions and the Blackrock Foundry LFR gear that you get, you really will have enough gear to start raiding normals. However, if you do have the extra money, then again, purchasing BRF normal and heroic gear, or getting level 4 crafted gear is a great option. And that's basically it for the guide. It basically just rush your way to eye level 615, rush your way through the LFRs, spend your bonus rolls intelligently, and do the world bosses. That will pretty much get you to a raiding standard, and if you want to definitely get to a raiding standard within maybe 1 week, then you are probably going to have to splash out on a bunch of BOE gear. Really, gearing up in Warlords of Draenor is odd. It doesn't take that much time, and you don't actually have to do that much gameplay. You go through LFRs, but they don't really test you. You hardly even need to do that many dungeons, bar the ones that are, of course, needed for the legendary quest. But that's basically it for the guide. I just thought I'd update this for patch 6.1. Hope you found it useful, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.